Do you want the truth? Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news? Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop offering me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up all the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's dude.
Hey, Hog Twins here. Check out our friend Matthew Spirit at his podcast at The Dumb Show and his website, don'tunfriendme.com. Yeah.
What is going on? Don't Unfriend Me Nation. Welcome to the show. I am trying to find the proper screen to get you on here. And, well, this isn't it, but we're going to go ahead and take it anyway. Good to see everybody. We just got back from the Matilda play. Is that correct, Liv?
Yes.
This is Olivia Spear, folks. This is the woman. The woman behind the guy, behind the guy, behind the behind the woman, behind the guy, behind the woman. That is not the guy. That is behind the guy. I don't know what the hell we're talking about. I'm trying to get the damn thing to work, the background, and it's not, this doesn't look, well, there's an update. Oh, wow. There might be a good update to the software. Oh, this looks great. Oh. Maybe I should. Oh,
what?
Well, it's got some Skype fixes for the audio.
That is awesome.
That'll be good. We'll have to get that up here. Sorry, folks. We're excited. It was a good play. Liv, talk about the play.
Oh, it was awesome. They all did an amazing job. Majority of the leads were all 7th graders, which was pretty cool. But Hayden had a couple lines this year and part of a solo in a song, and I just thought she did fantastic. I'm just beaming with pride right now.
Yeah, but she's getting a little Hollywood celebrity needy. She's got a little attitude. She walks in, she's like, my feet hurt. And
can I have a back rub? Mommy, need to braid my hair.
Mommy, need to braid my hair. Make me dinner. And I'm just like, listen here.
Grandma, put my flowers in a vase.
Listen here, Meryl Shriek. You need to calm down. So it was fun. It was a good time. We enjoyed it. Ethan got his first baseball game yesterday. They won 15-14.
I think it was 13-12 or 12-11.
Whatever, close
something
enough.
like that. It was 1 point.
It was a whole bunch of success. So he had a great game. There's his uniform. Looks just fantastic. Stellar. The pictures of Hayden haven't uploaded yet, but you guys, it's on Facebook. So definitely a good thing. So welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show tonight. I mean, we're going to have a truncated. The Avs are playing for the Central Division tonight. They were up 3-1 and then something happened. They shit the bed and the third period is going on. And trust me, there's nothing I want more than to leave and quit and not talk to any of you tonight and go watch my Avs. But alas, here we are. There's a lot going on in the world, specifically more with the United States right now. Everyone has had a chance to kind of take a look. I'm going to leave it open to questions, really. I did a video this morning in regards to the Jax Teixeira, whatever the hell his name is, the leak that happened in the Pentagon. Excuse me, scratch that. The leak that happened with the classified documents. And if anyone has any questions, I would love to talk about that. I know there are some people who did have a few things that they wanted to ask that maybe the video didn't answer, and I'll try to give you the best perspective. Outside of that, we're going to talk about a couple of other things. There's a guy on Twitter. He's a young kid, and it seems like he's going to be leading the Gen Z movement. He's kind of a douche plow like David Hogg. and he's going to be that type of annoying guy. So good luck with him. Like David Hogg wasn't enough. The Gen Zers are really starting to come out of the woodwork. And of course they know everything, right? Because they're kids, and that everyone gets a trophy. So they know everything. So we should all just embrace the fact that they're going to educate us on how to save the world and stop school shootings and everything else, because, they're kids and they know everything. So we're going to talk about this guy. He's kind of a douche nozzle, but we're going to talk about him anyway. His name's Harry Hisson or Hassan, or I don't know, childish, petulant kid. Next thing is a Thomas Elliott, who makes and cuts some of the best videos. He's the guy that we watched the last time that did the Biden video.
Oh,
and he
okay.
does the mishmash. Well, he has another one out, and this is all of Biden's overseas screw-ups. We're going to talk about that. And it's important because, listen, we're finding out a lot of information in regards to Ukraine and other countries. Angie says, Matt, how much damage did this cause the USA? Well, to be honest with you, Angie, it's a good question, and it's one that deserves an answer, so I'll try to do that. It's unknown, because it doesn't really matter whether you believe the story or not. We know one thing's for certain, is that top secret SCI documents were in fact leaked. And whether you believe it was this airman or a bigger thing, it doesn't matter. They're out there. And the number one concern isn't necessarily, when information is linked, the damage that it can do. Because when you have intelligence, it's classified as in either an ongoing or a current or a future potential source. And if that source is burned, then usually the intelligence that gets trickled down to top secret or certainly some SCI, but not necessarily compartmentalized keyword, is that it becomes readily accessible the more the source is burned. If the source is a present source and an ongoing source that needs to be fed and kept protected, the amount of people who will know will be kept to a bare minimum. And then there are levels of SCI top secret information that are past code word that are essentially the access is limited to so few people. It's because the source absolutely is critical to ongoing and future success. So the question is where did these sources stand, and was there anything released? And the problem is that it's very difficult to release human intelligence and not have it get burned. If for instance, when you look at the Enigma codebreaker machines for the Japanese that were using these for vessel movement, troop movements, aircraft squadrons, whatever it was, predominantly though the Japanese boats, and you look at what they had, and then you look at the German code breaking machines, is we had broken the Japanese code. And unfortunately, even though we broke the code, we had to have some vessels sacrificed, and we sacrificed some foreign allies' vessels and our own, because if we would have intercepted, the Japanese would have known that we cracked their code. So even in that playground and landscape of things, there's decisions made to protect a source rather than burn it, because you don't want to let the bad guys know that you've cracked their code. Now, it's a little bit different today. Is there really message traffic and everything else? There isn't this giant effort to cloak and cover up communiques and things like that used to be there, because ultimately all communication has some sort of algorithm or some sort of scrambling device at the end of it, or the systems are too complex that they can put a level of encryption that it really is a moot point. So you want to try to go ahead and do other things with video surveillance, or have human intelligence and have somebody get in country and build relationships with your targets and build more of the trade craft of being an intel. This is a very long answer to what seems to be a short question, but it's not. So I guess I can only put it this way, is it depends on the level of the leak. If it was human intelligence, if it was satellite imagery, if it was radent, if it was ELINT, how it was collected, and if it could burn the source based upon that. And if it's troop movements or it's U.S. forces on the ground and locations of U.S. forces, that is extremely damaging to the United States. So from a geopolitical situation, I would say that's probably the worst thing. If the United States is involved in a conflict inside Ukraine that is not from a proxy effort and they are actually in a real-time touch situation, then this is going to do some very serious damage to the relationship between Russia and the United States. But also, this puts the Russians in a way to say that we were provoked or some of our actions were because we knew the United States was attacking us. It just opens up a quagmire and gives Vladimir Putin more of the world stage to turn this against the United States. And then he can say, well, listen, if they're hitting us here, we know they hit the Nord Stream too. And it can just be a propaganda machine. But from burning intelligence sources, this could be a huge thing. This is the number one rule in intelligence. You protect your source at all costs. You don't burn your source. And if the well is still providing, you don't let it go dry. And you certainly don't tell the rest of the village and the towns and the other enemies that are around you where the well is, so they can all either drop a dynamite stick into it or poison it or pilfer it. And that's why you want to protect sources. So the long-term damage of this is always, it's immeasurable, because information that could be leaked today could ultimately have a domino effect in multiple categories of intelligence gathering when it comes to this. Now, the charges that he got were interesting. The charges were under the Espionage Act, and it was it was a mishandling charge and an intent to distribute charge that he got, which is a maximum of 15 years. Now, if anything from that intel results in American casualties or ally casualties or trade assets, field assets being killed or a casualty, the penalty of that could increase based on severity. But it sounds like there wasn't too much damage done initially because of the charges that I'm seeing. Now, there could be Uniform Code of Military Justice charges. DOD and the military haven't necessarily stepped out. This is civilian that are doing this right now. So we need to let it play out and see. But I will just tell you initially that any intelligence leak, it makes us look inept on the world stage. It stops people from trading with us information. It makes MI6. It makes other intelligence agencies across the United States. It makes Assad and others say, we're not going to go ahead and trade with you. You guys can't even keep your shit at a low-level access secure. How the hell are you going to keep your high access secure? So it's just not good. Now, as an intel guy, as Leroy's an intel guy, we'll tell you that this is wrong. We don't agree, but that's because we swore an oath and we gave our word to protect these. I mean, we are under non-disclosure agreements for the rest of our lives. Leroy and I. There's things I still can't talk about. My wife doesn't know half the things I did. And that's the way it's supposed to be. And we gave our word. And we take our word seriously. And the moment that anyone says, well, this guy's a hero, no, he's not. He's not a hero. He broke his word to this country. And if you respect the word hero and what heroes truly do, then you can't necessarily label this guy as a hero, because he did the thing that was antithetical to what hero does, is he didn't do his job. Now, but I'm also a proponent of that the information that was leaked, we should not ignore it. We should jump on it. We should absolutely address it and take it wherever it goes to find truth, because the government lying to us is nothing new. The government recreating something in order to cover up lies is a little different. The fact that they're saying Ukraine's winning the war is a blatant lie. And I've said this for a long time, is that Ukraine could hold out indefinitely, but in the end, it would be a pile of rubble. That the attrition that would take place based on Russia consistently bombarding Ukraine is very similar to a single siege or castle or 9 castles going against the Huns or going against the Persians. You're outnumbered 10-1, and the technology is a hardened military that fought Afghanistan for 22 years, who have been fighting terrorists for longer than that, who've had Crimea and Syria, and Russia is a blunt force instrument, and eventually Ukraine will break. So the government telling us that, well, this is one thing, and here's Zelensky, and here's the GQ photos, and the next facet is you've got people like myself and Leroy who've said, well, yeah, but they can't hold out forever, and here's why. And then we find out that that's true. The big thing is that you have half of America that supports this, the other half who's questioning it. And there's a very divisive line in this. This is not the way we felt towards Afghanistan. This is not the way we felt towards Gulf 1 and 2. This is the kind of the new Vietnam without having Americans on soil. And people are like, well, it's a proxy. I'm not happy about it. I don't like my taxes going to it, but it is what it is. We're not fans of Zelensky. We don't need to cheerlead for him, but it is what it is. It's what the United States does. Now that we hear that there might be U.S. troops in country, that they are getting involved in exchange of fire and exchange of weapon systems, that's a completely different conversation. And now you're talking about, we are one step away from having American involvement at a full scale with divisions and regiments of troops and forward operating bases and air support and intelligence gathering and reconnaissance and holy shit. And if that's truly something that's a possibility, I think even the left and the right would wake up one morning and be completely shocked if that was the move, that we're going to war with Russia. I think most people would be blown away and can't even fathom that. Now, they may say that Putin might do something nuclear or might go ahead and create World War III, but the fact that the United States would even put troops in Ukraine, it's not something that a lot of people have swallowed or thought about. So to wake up one morning and find out the United States is at war with Russia and we're doing it through Ukraine would I think baffle most of the country, including senators and congressmen and other people. So to answer your question, it's a question I can't answer because I don't have enough of the data yet. I will just tell you that any intelligence being leaked from an SCI standpoint and being disseminated and distributed amongst people who don't have the credentials to protect that and have our enemies get it is always a bad thing. Always. It's never a good thing. It's never been a good thing, and it will never be a good thing. That's my answer.
Excuse me, Penny Perdue, I think is how you say her name, had a question.
Yeah.
My voice is cracking.
You're fine.
My question is, why are we so focused on the leak of classified documents and how and why that's so bad and not
Good
what
girl.
was leaked?
Yeah, good girl. That's a great question. And I think, okay, so I'll answer. That's a very, it's a very precise. I knew what you were asking the moment you started rolling it out. So it's a good question. And I'll tell you why. And there's a couple of reasons. I'm not stalling. I'm looking for my camera. There we go. So I can get off chat. By the way, Matthew Spear from the Don't Unfriend Me Show. Good to see everybody. The Dumb Show logo is already up. If you haven't had a chance, you can go buy the Awake But Not Woke. You can't buy the Travis Manion shirt. You got to be a friend of Travis Manion Foundation or go to the Marine Corps Marathon or wherever else they're selling their shirts, and they're expensive. And Matthew Spear again, it's okay.
Did it go up the first time? I didn't see
it. Went up the first time. You shot the proverbial load too fast. Oh. But 10% of the sales of all my T-shirts and coffee mugs and coffee go to the Travis Manion Foundation. If you don't know what the TMF Foundation is, look into it. They're amazing. And in each year, I cut them a check during tax time. This will be my first check because I've only had clothing line for a year, and I give them 10%. I think we're giving them $1,800.
I don't know.
Something like that. So we got to wait till tax time. So that's hell. That's not bad for a small time podcast. All right. So, why are we not focusing on what was leaked versus the leak itself. Okay, so the first thing from a government standpoint, the first thing that's good to do is trivialize. And that's exactly what the U.S. government did. Biden came out and said, this isn't that big of a deal. This information wasn't that big, blah, 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 blah. We haven't even validated if this is real. And the first thing they do is trivialize it. So they control the overall reaction to it. And then the second thing, it's actually not the second, it's 1.1 is to ensure that the leak is plugged. But before you plug the leak, you want to go ahead and put a stress test on the leak and go ahead and see if anything else pops, because you don't know if this person's working alone. You don't know if they're a paid asset. You don't know if they're playing grab ass. You don't know if they're just trying to impress their girlfriend. You really don't have the causation of why this happened. So 1.1 is to put a stress test on the leak, in the sense that you want to give more information. You want to put pressure on the leak, but you don't want to blow it up, right? You don't want to put so much pressure that it just blows up the whole dam. So you want to put a little bit of pressure on it, but and do a little bit of stress to it, but not to the point of breaking it. And then you're going to see what happens. And in this case, by putting out the story that I believe it was WAPO that put it out and reached out to the government and said, we've got this information, blah, 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 is the gentleman, Jack, is it Jack? Can't remember this guy's name. I just did a show on him, but I'm so tired. It's been a long day. Whatever this guy, this Trexia, whatever.
Jack Trexia.
Yeah, Trexia. What he said is that he started immediately contacting the 30 guys in his group and saying, who were all over. They were Ukrainian, they were Russian. The group was full of different people. He reached out to him and said, I love you guys. This is in God's hands. And I'm paraphrasing. It's up to God now, but I feel like something bad's going to happen. And then he went and started doing Google searches, typing in the word leak and blah, 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 blah. And by doing that, this is what putting that stress on that leak does, is it lights up his network where the FBI and other intelligence agencies can look and see what else they can gather when the light is shone on the roaches, so to speak. And when they all scurry for the dark, you get to find out where they go or who they contact. Because imagine this is a multifaceted network. And the lead leak then reaches out to the 30, 35 other sleepers or people who are involved in this. And then they reach out to their handlers, and their handlers reach out to the handlers of the handlers. And then all of a sudden you uncover this giant network that this is a spy ring inside the United States or international. You don't know what you're dealing with. So you got to put a stress test on it. So once you do that and you uncover that, 1.2 and 1.3, surprisingly enough, is you went ahead and you've assessed, you downplay it. You then put a little stress test on the network of what you're finding. 1.3 would then be, what is the damage that's been caused by the leak? And is it ongoing? Do you allow it to continue? So you can expand and find out more? Do you start sending out, maybe you don't know exactly who it is. So do you put out multiple different variations of a single story or a certain file and see where it ends up? And then you ultimately know who the source is. 1.4 is to kind of see the extent of the leak and see where it goes. And if you have predictions on who it is, what access they do have, and you have to marginalize the amount of information they're getting without that person knowing. And then I think the last one is goes back to kind of 3, is once you uncover all of those facets, you've got to decide, do you seize it or do you allow it and not allow your enemy to know that you're onto them? And in this case, they felt it was important enough to shut this down immediately. And the reason why, in my opinion, and just my opinion, it's not that the information was ultra sensitive or was doing horrible damage, because a lot of this stuff, in my opinion, based on seeing it, but certainly won't convey what it was to you, because I'm not going to disseminate and distribute confidential information. But based on what I saw, this isn't going to destroy the United States. It's not like we're going to war tomorrow. What it will do is destroy and damage the overall support that Joe Biden and that he has with Ukraine, because then what this does is it creates congressional oversight. And there'll be investigations. Appropriations will get involved, where the money's going, why U.S. troops are there, who authorized it. And these type of questions, Joe Biden has no desire to answer. He doesn't want to answer these. He doesn't want to in any way, shape, or form. In fact, he's out there playing Frisbee with a dog, and, the secretary of whatever and chief of staff and the joint chiefs are going, Mr. President, whatever. I just want to let you know, we've got, U.S. soldiers in Ukraine. And he's like, I thought we weren't supposed to do that. Oh, good job, Skipper. Come back and give me the Frisbee. By the way, where's my ice cream? And he doesn't have any idea what the fuck's going on. So nobody wants this to be the story right before an election. Right now, they want the fact that Joe Biden is seizing fentanyl on the border, supposedly, and all of a sudden he's had this awakening to take care of the border, that inflation has gone down and is dropping, gas prices are coming to reality, eggs are coming back to normal. Isn't it amazing?
Oh my gosh, eggs.
Isn't it amazing what
Holy
happens
cow.
right before an election, right before we get into the swing of election season? All these good things are happening under his administration. Give me a break. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just so happy that eggs are going down because everyone eats eggs for breakfast in our house. And I was paying like $8 for a dozen eggs. And I just paid $3.49 for 18 the other day.
You can't beat it.
Oh, it's like, yay. It's the little things you got to celebrate in life. Leroy just got home, so he should be.
Okay. If he wants to come on, then come on. So the whole thing is, the damage this does is Joe Biden's story about Ukraine, no U.S. soldiers in country. Anyone that's being trained is in Germany and Poland. And I know for a fact, and I've known for how long? A year?
Of what? I'm sorry. I was reading comments.
I can't really say what I want to say. All I'll say is breakfast and a friend who is not here. Wife that dropped off Christmas cookies to our stuff and goodies.
Oh, yes.
How long have I known about that?
A while.
Over a year. Mm-hmm. So I've known that we have contractors in Ukraine that are there working. And I've known this for a while. But now that that's not a secret, and that's now open, and it's on every TV station. I don't mind talking about that. But this is the thing that Joe Biden doesn't want to get out. It makes him look inept. It makes it look like he's lying. And then what else does that bring up? Then people start questioning, well, what about the $1 million he got from China? What about Hunter Biden going to Ireland and supposedly negotiating a deal for this? Or what about this new stenographer who actually is accusing Joe Biden of crimes and saying that he can be the main witness in a grand jury to have Joe Biden put in prison? We're going to listen to that video in a second. So all these things coming up are not going to help Joe Biden. And if he's lying to the American people, especially the yellow and blue flag checkers who are all over Facebook and Twitter, who put the Ukrainian flag in their profile, and there's a bunch of these crazy idiots, it doesn't necessarily help his popularity. And you would think that it would increase the negative attitude that they have towards him, that he's an invalid when it comes to making the right decisions for the Democratic Party. That nobody's happy with him, even his own party. So needless to say, why are we talking about it? Well, that's the answer. We're not talking about what was collected, because right now the sexy thing that's going to get the headlines is going to be the fog of war and a person being arrested and a spy, no matter whether you like that or not, is the main story that's going to sell subscriptions and sell newspapers and get the radio talking. There will be plenty of time to investigate, specifically by the Republican House, and the Senate or the intelligence committees will look into this and immediately address this and start subpoenaing records and finding out. And the main thing that we need to understand as a people is that this should be a cry not to find out something as minuscule as, do we have troops on the ground? We should have the receipts for where this $160 billion has gone, every penny. And there needs to be an accounting, and the Senate oversight needs to do their job, or they need to pull funding from it. The House they control the money. And if, like Vietnam, like running special operations in South America and doing clandestine operations all over the world, or running drone strikes against American citizens like Obama did, the moment that it gets caught wind and we are running guns to Fast and the Furious through Eric Holder to Mexico, Senate oversight gets in and seizes the money and stops these processes. And then they go ahead and start doing investigations and they hold hearings. And although it seems like there's no justice, the biggest justice that can take place is to stop funding these things and start doing investigations. Now, will that happen with Ukraine? I don't know, but I think America wants receipts and we want to see where this money is going. The fact that the $150 billion that we've given to Ukraine funded the first 3 years of the Afghanistan war, and that was a full-out war. That was troops on ground, forward operating bases, artillery. You had airfields. You built air bases. You brought food in. You had resupply. You had countermeasure support. You had QRT teams fired up and spun up, ready to go at any time. You had team guys in there. You had SEALs in there. You had demolition. You had snipers, force recon, MARSOC. You had military divers surrounding the areas in the waters around the Middle East. I mean, this was a war. And the first $150 billion could fund the first 3 years of the Afghanistan war. That should tell you something about where in the fuck is this money going and what are we spending it on? Now, a lot of people are like money laundering, that's not the answer. I want to know. I don't want speculation. I want to know. I want to know where every dollar is going, and I want to find out. And if it's not going to what they're saying it's going, then heads need to roll, period. Plain and simple.
We had a couple more questions.
Yeah,
Actually really good. Carl Kiersey, I think. Where do the loved ones of these troops think they are if it's such a big secret? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me tell you something, man. I'll tell you a quick story. We were in the Sea of Japan, and I hadn't talked to my parents in 6 months. They had no idea where I was. That's where they thought I was. I came home for Christmas one year in 90, it was right after Hong Kong. So 95, 96, the Taiwanese Straits incident happened. And then we did the Hong Kong turnover and ran security for the Hong Kong turnover back to China. It went back under communist rule. That Christmas, my parents hadn't seen me in 3 months. They hadn't heard from me. They haven't gotten a letter. Nothing, zero, nothing. We were completely dark. We weren't making phone calls off the ship. We were an intelligence class vessel that supported 7th Fleet, USS Enterprise, and etc. And all I can tell you is that we were gone for 3 months. And I was supposed to come home for Christmas, but Saddam Hussein and others did what they usually did during times like this and launched Scuds into various countries, whether it be Kuwait or whatever, and would bring in all the troops off of downscale for the holidays, where they usually go to skeleton crews and like 2/3 of the military is on stand down because we're all on vacation for Christmas. And as I do an 18-hour hop from Tokyo, Japan, and I just pull into Hawaii and then go from Hawaii to LAX, but it wasn't LAX. No, I didn't fly civilian from Hawaii. I flew military. So I don't know where we came in. I don't remember. I'm too old. Doesn't matter. Came into California, maybe Port Hueneme. Doesn't matter. Flew from there, went into Colorado. That was civilian. Got off the tarmac, and my pager, yes, pager, went off, made a phone call, and we were recalled. And so my parents are waiting at home for Christmas with presents, expecting me to be home, and I'm gone. So instead of getting back on a flight, I was in NORAD. I was in NORAD for 3 weeks, got pulled back into Japan, and we deployed, must have been like the 17th or 18th of January, and we were back out to sea, and then we went and did something else, and then something else that I can't really go into. And the whole point is my parents didn't know where I was for 6 months. So there are times where you can go on a deployment. It's no big deal. Like it's posted, for God's sakes. You can go like to the USS Enterprise sectional on, United States Navy, whatever, and see where the ship's going to be and what it's going to take part in. But during conflict, that shit doesn't happen. You get deployed, undeployed, and that's all you get. And there's no information. They don't know where the ships are now, and they don't know where the fleet is. Now, obviously, enemies know where the fleet is, and the United States Navy knows where the fleet is, but I can't call my mom like, hey, Mom. She's like, where are you? Oh, I'm in the middle of the Indian Ocean, Mom. How are you? That's not the way the conversation goes. And your time on phone is all sat scrambled anyway. You're speaking on a scrambled phone, and your communication is usually through a base, because if you don't, the amount of money that costs you is so you usually reroute that phone call through a PBX on another base, like in Colorado, we would do it through Colorado Springs or do it through Fort. Oh God, there was an old Army base on there, Fort. Oh shit, I can't remember. But anyway, we would put the phone calls through there, so we weren't paying ungodly, pinging it off satellites and shit like that. And you would save a shit ton of money to do that. And then, of course, you want to get flagged by your vessel. Leroy's on, so he can tell us a little bit about this with me, and what that's like. So hold on a second, let me get him on.
There's another question too.
Yeah, I'll get to all of them. Leroy, we're talking about being deployed and rerouting your phone calls when you're deployed through bases. Fort.
Well, we need to introduce him first.
Yeah, no, we don't.
No.
Just hold on a second. What was the base in Colorado? Fort Carson. So I would make the phone calls, reroute it from Yokosuka. Yokosuka would ping off JICPAC, and JICPAC would ping Fort Carson, and Fort Carson would connect the phone call to my parents, and therefore it would be a local call. It's a local call because you're pinging it through the bases. If you don't ping it through the bases, you have to make a long distance phone call and ping it off of a satellite, and then your CO is going to grab you by the throat and toss you fucking overboard. So just one of the ways to do it. But understand, there are times when you're deployed that nobody makes phone calls. There is a blackout restriction, and the only communication is encrypted communication. And it goes through the CIC, it goes through the JICs, it goes through the radio mins, it goes through the crypto, and nobody else gets outward communication at all. The pastor's phone is turned off. So you can't go in there and say, I need to talk to my parents. I'm feeling suicidal. None of that shit. You're deployed. And if you're red lit while you're out to sea, you're red lit. And that means you're in battle conditions, and you don't go smoke on the afterdeck either. And everything gets shut down. All right, Leroy, it's good to have you here, buddy. How are you? Is everything okay with your son?
I'm good. Oh yeah. He's fine. He's just
Olivia, do his intro, please. Here you go, real quick. Leroy Jenkins, ladies and gentlemen. Whoops. You only do it once. I take care of the back end. That's
gotcha.
okay.
Sorry.
It's fine. Leroy's here. Leroy, we're talking a lot about this Jack Teixeira guy. I think that's his name.
Yeah.
And I know did you see the video I did? I think you got to see it.
I did.
Okay.
I saw it.
Thoughts?
Thoughts. 1000% agreement. I think I did I leave a comment in there? I'm pretty sure I did.
Yeah, she said, Matt, your penis is sexy and it doesn't look like a mushroom at all.
Yeah.
Was that the post you wanted to leave me?
Yeah, actually, I said it looked like a submarine. So
it's long, black, and full of semen.
The issue is that, for people who are granted that level of access, that poor kid, 21 years old, dumb as shit, was given a hell of an opportunity, and basically, just due to misjudgment, pissed it all away. And I don't think that he fully grasped what was happening at the time. You can say what you want.
There's a rumor that his stepdad was 34 years at supposedly in intelligence of some sort, or in some, he was within the hierarchy of intelligence. He may not have been an analyst, but CT, IT, something like that, or equivalent for the Air Force MOS, but or Air National Guard. So, but either way, that's my understanding. So it's not like this guy wasn't aware of military procedure, or didn't grow up on bases, or didn't share freaking sea stories or golfing stories in the Air Force with each other. So it kind of baffles me. And I think this guy was just bragging to his buddies.
You know what? I would think that that's probably true. And it does happen, right? I mean, even contractors will end up getting busted occasionally for doing similar stupid shit. There was a story but maybe 4 or 5 years ago of a contractor. I can't remember the name of the company, but they busted one of the contractors with a butt ton of paperwork that he had just been walking out of the skiff and had it lined up in his walls in his like shitty one floor apartment kind of thing. And it was one of these deals where it wasn't even obvious that he was going to try and sell it. It was just that he was like collecting it. And so you never really grasp the type of characters that you could be dealing with when you're in the military or contracting. The people that they grant these clearances to, they're basically people who just have a clean background. If there's nothing in their background that fires off a red flag that says this person is a risk, then chances are they're going to be granted that access. That doesn't mean that they're not a person who's going to exhibit poor judgment later. They just haven't been busted yet.
And that's why you stagger and you do bait tests with Intel and things like that. And everyone gets tested, right? So what I mean by that is they'll send out like a physical, back when we were, well, yes, Leroy was in at the same time, but his experience is fresher and newer, kind of like a Massengale moment. Mine is older and more of a paper trail type of thing, but they would release documents that would have slight variations in the print context of the document.
Mine definitely has more of a strawberry scent to it.
Yeah, I bet it does.
Or is it flavor? So, I can't never tell.
So if you guys look at old copy printers and stuff, they would leave, flash residue and carbon residue on the print from dirty printers. Well, those things could be manufactured and laid off one copy. Then they make copies of the copy. And then each copy has a slight variation that nobody will know. And then they disseminate it. I love you.
Oh, I just got on camera.
Yeah, get out of here. Oh, then they go ahead and send it out to, 3 divisions or 3 different units who might be suspected or might have some FNGs in there. And then if that stuff gets leaked, well, they look and say, okay, this went to the intelligence, the op systems afloat of the Com 7th Fleet, USS Blue Ridge, and it was released either in the JIC or the CIC or somewhere else. And then they break it down again, and then they narrow their investigation, and then they just freaking get somebody. And they have phishing expeditions all the time for that. And that's counterintelligence. And it's a preventive maintenance for the FNGs, the new guys. And they do it to some of the old guys too. But either way, they catch people in some pretty broad nets. This is different. And I brought it up in the video because the down number of veterans that are in right now and the overall lack of people working creates shortcuts. And you don't shortcut in Intel. It's one of the worst. People die when you, like, if there's any other place, there's 2 places you never shortcut in the military: air traffic control and intelligence. Yeah. Those are 2 fucking places you don't shortcut, because you shortcut, people are going to die. And that's also, artillery, right? It's also people sending in Tomahawks.
Aircraft maintenance. The guy that tightens the bolts on an F-18.
Yeah,
you don't want that guy sleeping at his job either.
You don't shortcut the military.
But to Matt's point, when it happens in Intel and something gets leaked to somebody who's not supposed to have that level of information, ultimately it could end up in the hands of people who mean to do U.S. military personnel, ill. These are people that could plan attacks. These are, so that's why you're supposed to fucking be more disciplined with the way you handle this stuff.
Well, Melanie makes a comment. This is a really good one. She says, yeah, but I would think at 21, he wouldn't have enough background for that kind of trust. Let me explain to you the clearance that I had when I was 21 years old. That Leroy will tell you that this, I am not fabricating or extending any braggadocious behavior here or bravado. This is just straight up. And I said it on the recording. I had higher level clearance than some admirals in my fleet that could not come into my space, no matter what, unless they were read in and they had the proper credentials. We had higher information than the captain at some points.
That's not common.
At 21 years old, I had a $750,000 clearance. And I had over $2.5 million worth of C school trainings and A school trainings. At 21, I was able to. I'm trying to.
I know what you mean.
I'm trying to. I'm trying.
I know you have to be very careful though.
I have to be very careful, but I will just tell you this: if the best way I can describe it, and let me put it this way, is that at a certain point at my career, at 22 to 23 years old, I was writing strategies on how to hit Tehran and destroy command and control systems from a multifaceted attack with multiple weapon systems and trying to get percentages of casualties down to an acceptable level that would then be sent to the DoD, put into think tanks, analyzed, processed, sent back to me to help fix with another team of 75 other intel guys.
Like red team, blue team type stuff?
Yeah. And more than that. I mean, you're talking about intelligence, groups of intelligence networks, whether it's Marine Corps, whether it's Army intelligence, whether it's foreign intelligence, working together to build strategies on strike. Did you work in strike?
No, I've never done strike.
So strike is just essentially planning for doing very bad things to other countries if the switch is flipped. So that's at a young age. And then going from that into something that Leroy is familiar with, but a different group under a different name. And he has a freaking pin for it, which really pisses me off. He has a badge for it. He's got expeditionary.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, whatever. You're full of shit. So there was NSWAG, which was Naval Special Warfare Activity Group 1 and 2, went and supported the teams as an intel apparatus that would deploy with teams. And that was 95, 96. And there was a group of intelligence specialists that may or may not have included me who got to go and do that and do cool things. Folks, age don't fucking matter. It's IQ.
Seriously cool.
IQ, your brain, your ability to shut your fucking mouth and listen and know when to stand up and to understand the difference between giving fact and opinion will get you promoted very quickly in the intel community. And if you don't know the difference, you've got no business doing the job. It's not about your age at all.
Yeah.
It's about how quickly you can adapt and practically apply what you learn in an effective way. And we have two types of people. You have shit hot and shit bag. And if you're shit hot, just your career path goes on forever. And if you're a shit bag, you are ousted in some way or another very quickly.
Yeah,
expeditiously.
The biggest divider between those types of people are the people that when they give a brief, they may be able to give an opinion or give some level of situational awareness about something. But then when they get asked about it, they'll either crack and say, they could lie about it. For one, that happens a lot. And then there are the people that'll say, either I don't know or this is why I think this, and then list evidence, like factual type data. There's a big difference between those two types of people. And if you're able to, keep a cool head about you, and be honest with what you know or what you don't know, then you'll go on and you'll do well. Yeah.
And listen, my career was boring compared to Leroy. Leroy's been in for a little bit longer than my time. Now I had obviously my service in the military, and then after that, working for government in different facets, which I don't go into a lot. I don't go into what I did and what I don't, and I don't. Yeah, there's no really reason to do it unless it comes up in conversation. It just comes down to this, y'all. I wasn't anything special. I got carried over the quarterdeck more than just about any sailor I knew.
That's not true. You are very special.
I was drunk as shit. Dude, I swear to God, if I ever had to blow on the quarterdeck, I'd have got captain's mast. I would have got 90 and 90. I was drunk as shit. So I wasn't a responsible guy. I was an idiot.
You were a sailor.
Yeah, fuck. Dude, I can't even begin to tell you some of the nights we had. I mean, some of the bills that
I knew a E5, and he was this was on board a frigate. He was, I want to say he was the dude who does the flags. So, signalman. Yeah. And he got busted, and he was on his way. He was getting out anyway. So what he did, you know, the white hats.
Yeah,
He put like a little. He put a little.
I wore them at graduation and exit. That was it. Go ahead.
He put a little radio transmitter in his white hat when he went to go to mast, and so that it could be broadcast over the.
Hold on a second. Hold on, Leroy. Stop. Leroy, stop. What?
It's 3-3, and there's like 2 minutes left in the third. And Georgiev just like made an insane play. I didn't see it, but I heard the announcer score.
Okay, go watch the game. Keep it.
No.
I'm so sorry, man. The Avs are playing for the Central Division, and like if they win this game, they are number one. If they don't, so anyway, go ahead. But you're talking about this signalman. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. He got busted for drinking. I think it was like drinking and driving. It was a DUI type deal. So he goes up to captain's mast, and he was an E5, like I said, but he was also getting out soon. And so he put a little radio. Remember the Radio Shack? Like you could put like little radio transmitters. They weren't very big, and they wouldn't broadcast very far, but they would broadcast on like an AM radio circuit. So he put that in there so that the whole crew could hear what he was getting yelled at.
Okay, are we doing the C story real quick? Because I got one.
Sure. Oh, I got
right,
him for days.
Okay, so I got one for you. So this one's interesting. So this is a little long, and I'm even going to put some names in here and everything. So folks, we're going to talk about some stuff, but this is Leroy and I don't get to do this very often, so we're excited. So there's a guy who I knew who was going to Buds, and I knew 6 or 7 guys who were going through Buds in my Intel class. And they would do their A school, they would get their Intel class, and before a C school, they would go through Buds. And then if they became a SEAL and went through probation, their 1-year probation, and got through Buds, I mean, that's not, a lot of people think you get through Buds and you're a SEAL. That's not fucking true in any way, shape, or form. You don't get your trident at that time. Right. You got another 9.5 months of hell and training that is, I mean, Buds is, dude, it's called basic underwater demolition for a reason. It's not what you think. Buds is not what you think.
To your point, I work with I know a gentleman who made it past Hell Week, and then later got dropped for, I think he said he got dropped from the diving portion of it. So
drown proofing.
And I know that, I'm not sure if that was it, but
it is. It's drown proofing.
Great guy. This guy is amazing, and you can tell that you can tell that like there are some people that look like they have that teen quality, right?
Yeah. You know who's definitely on the teams.
Yeah. This dude definitely looked like he was that guy. He was that alpha, Yeah. So I know.
Yeah, and not just that. Some of the most soft smoking guys I've ever met in my life were SEALs, and some of the most crooked pranksters were SEALs, and some of the most hard charging loudmouths I know were SEALs. So it takes all types, but there's a certain element that you see in their eye where there's a physicality and a mental side that are equivalent to each other, and they could sharpen stone off their freaking personalities. Those are the people who you know are going to make it through. But anyway, so I had a group of guys, 8 or 9 guys, who were all going to go through Buds, and I was number 1 in my Intel class, and I'd finished number 1 in my class. So I got the choice of wherever I wanted to go. And I had put in to go to the USS Blue Ridge with my buddy named Tom, and good friend of mine. And he was going to go on the Blue Ridge, and I wanted to go to the Blue Ridge because Japan. Yeah, Japan's fucking awesome. And if you're going to go overseas and you're going to go make a career for yourself, it's really good to go on the Admiral's barge. And the LCC-19 Blue Ridge it's the creme de la creme. And the only thing you could really probably do outside of that is go with a fighter squadron. You know, the fighter squadrons, YF fighter squadrons are fucking awesome, and they're good. They're good billets. Or you could go to a comm. You can go to SATCOM. You can go to NORAD or something like that. Those are also good billets. But you're going to go in a vessel, go on the Blue Ridge. You get to shop in Hong Kong during the Christmas, and you get to play rugby in Japan in the summer. And there's beautiful women, and it's great alcohol. And then they close Bali, or they close Subic Bay, which meh. But you got to go to Bali, in Indonesia, South Korea, Hong Kong, Australia, fucking Russia. Just the fucking yeah. Woo! Go Avs. All right. Okay. Let's finish this up so we can go watch the game. Don't touch the remote. Okay. So anyway, that's a long story. So we're sitting there, and I've got a guy named Mike Davey, who is a kind of a probie Intel guy that just started week 3 of Intel training. And I was up now you didn't go to Nimitzi, did you? No, you did go to Nimitzi. Okay. I was on second deck, right? So that's the graduation deck. That's the people who have already graduated eight. They're going into C schools, right? Yeah. So I'm on second deck, and it's different up there. I mean, your towels are hanging off your bunk. You put blankets up. Nobody gives a shit. Like, it never gets inspection.
Oh, I never stayed there. I never birthed at Nimitzi. I didn't even know there was such a place. I didn't know they had anything like that on the second floor.
You're kidding.
No.
Okay, well that's where the C schools are for second floor. Well, you're gonna have to tell me about that. So anyway, Mike Davey's a good buddy of mine. Brian Kopke is a good buddy of mine. Kopke and Davey are not going into sales, are not going into SEALs, right? They're not gonna go into Buds. They are Intel guys, and they're gonna go to Fleet. I was dating a girl named Michelle Hammett there, and she was like 5'2", and she was a little hottie. And we were bumping uglies, and she would come into the second floor from the female side, crawl into my rack and sleep with me till I go 300. We like I told you, I wasn't this star spangled awesome. It's just I never got caught. So anyway, then you had George Peterson, who was going to Buds. You had
this is George Peterson.
Oh, this guy's awesome, dude. George was one of the only American born to go in and win Taekwondo championships his age bracket. And he was badass. I mean, this guy was just awesome. And he just had a Kennedy look to him. Great guy. Other guy was, I don't even know all their names. But the one guy I do remember was Daniel Taco. He's from fucking New Jersey. He's 5'4", $126 wet, right? And this guy talked like he sounds. He's like, you want to fucking go with me? I'll fucking cut your mother, and then I'll eat her fucking uterus, and I'll make you take a bite. Do you want to fucking go? And this was Daniel Taco, and that's the way he was, and he always would talk that way. Like IS-1 would come in, and he was doing.
Boy, that's not aggressive.
Oh, come on, man. You know what I'm talking about. I'm exaggerating. This is when he gets drunk. No. But anyway, so the IS-1 would come in. His name was IS-1 Miller. You may know him. He's a black guy. Horrible human fucking being, piece of shit, hated him in the Fleet, and they kicked him. He was the guy who wore his aide de camp red fucking, tassel.
The braid thing?
Yeah, as an IS-1 instructor. It's like, dude, are you serious? You actually wear it? I mean, come on. So anyway, this guy was a douchebag. But so he would come in and, Daniel, anyone else talk to IS-1, they'd be pushing the ground. It was like a stupid extension of boot camp. Well, he would walk in and Daniel would just be like, dude, IS-1, what's going on, man? He's like, what's going on, my pudgy little brother? And you're like, and IS-1 would and laugh. And you're like, what the fuck? What does Daniel Taco have on these? And it didn't matter who it was. Dude, IS-1, she worked for Team 6. She was, DevGru. And I can't remember her name, but she was one of the first ISs to really kind of work with DevGru. And she was one of our instructors. And I can't remember her name, but she was smoking. And she would walk by and he'd be like, hey, IS-1, blah, blah, blah. And they would laugh. And I'm like, if any of us did that, we would be dead. So this guy was just a shit stirrer, but everyone found him funny. And every unit has that guy. Wow. So So we get to the graduate, I get to C school. These guys are now in A school. They've been in there for quite a while. And this is where the story gets good. Wood. It's about to get wood. So this guy comes in. Seaman Jerry was his name. Seaman Jerry. And he was bald and he looked like he was 42, but he was 18, premature balding, had a gut on him. And he basically got through boot camp because obviously the quota needed to be filled. But the guy was a shitbag. He wore yellow shirts. I mean, you and I both know when you're in the Nav, when you're in the military, you have packages of T-shirts just waiting to be opened because you don't wash it more than 2 or 3 times because the neck gets turtly and then it gets yellow. You know the drill, right? You get bacon neck, right? Turtly in the sense of dry turtle skin, whatever, jerky. All right. Yeah. So this IS-1 Seaman Jerry comes in and we're at roll call and his fucking, oh my God, his gig line is fucked up. It looks like the San Andreas Fault. Half of his freaking tail is coming out of his back. His shoes look like shit. His dungarees are dirty from freaking mess camp. when he was running Mess Cook and Boot. I mean, this guy looked like dirt. And he comes up to the ready line, and IS-1 walks up and goes, what the, what the hell's wrong with you, boy? What the hell are you? And he's like,
fuck yourself. Yeah.
So he goes, and this Seaman Jerry looks at him, and he's a scrub. He's a brand new fucking recruit. He's just coming into Intel, and he looks at the IS-1, and I don't care if the IS-1's a douche or not. And he looks at him and he says, this isn't boot camp anymore. This is supposed to be an A school. Oh fuck, dude! Like George Peterson. I thought George Peterson was going to pick up a rack and smash this kid, and IS-1's like, well, you can thank frickin' Seaman Jerry. None of you have weekend leave. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So I run up to the IS-1. I'm like, dude, I got to work at Applebee's. I've got 3 server shifts. I make money. I tend the bar over there. And he's like, Spear, sorry, you're not going to go ahead and be the richest guy on base anymore. Shut the fuck up. And I'm like, okay, fine. So thanks, IS-1. Whatever. So Jerry would lip off to everybody. And it's not that he had balls. He was stupid and he didn't know what he was doing. All right. So it's a late night. I know this is a long story. I'm sorry, but I got to get this out. So it's a late night, and I am on the first floor, and you were at Nimitzi? Okay. So the right-hand side of the entry door to the male berthing, there's a little cubicle room, and it's probably 8 feet as long as it's 4 feet wide, and there's a payphone in there that you could call your family with quarters. Sure. Well, everyone called that the happy room, because you would call your girlfriend, and then when you walked by it, everyone would just have their hand like this, covering their face because of things that went on in that room. So I'm sitting in that room, and I'm talking to Stephanie Stevenson, and she's talking to me real low and slow, and I'm going, yeah. And then I see, and it's 2 in the, no, I didn't crank one out at that point, because this is what happened next. I had every intention of firing one off for the team. I wanted to flood tubes 3 and 4, but George Peterson walks in, and he goes by and walks, and he looks and makes eye contact with me. And I'm like, what the fuck? First of all, you're breaking rule number 1. Makes
it awkward.
Like you're making it awkward. Don't look at me while I'm doing this, right? So I get up and I'm like, George, what the fuck is going on? He's like, Spear, go back inside. I like you, but you do not want to be involved with what's going to happen next. And I said, George, what the fuck are you doing? And you're a friend. And he's like, go back inside. And then I see Taco come around the corner. He's like, fucking Spear, you don't want to be involved in this. Get back inside and go talk to your girl. And then Kopke comes around. And Davey comes around. Oh, and then fucking Schneider. Siemens Schneider comes in. And then Marco Signorella. That's the other fucking guy who was going to Bloods. And I fucking hated Marco Signorella. Blonde guy, big beefcake, just a douche. They all go in, and they're sitting into the left, which is the break room, right? The room where we all gather to watch TV and shit, which is the left of the phone room, and they're all in there. And TV's glowing and fuzzy, and there's a group of 6, 7 guys in that room, and it's dark. It's fucking lights out, right? And I'm like, what's the one thing I haven't seen? I haven't seen the fucking the Sentry. And the quarterdeck sentry's right in the next freaking hallway right there. He's like right there in front of male and female berthing. And I haven't seen him in like 40 minutes, and it's a 15-minute round. So I'm like, what the hell's going on?
Blanket party?
Oh, yeah. Of such epic proportions. So I go, and Taco comes in there, and he puts his hand on my shoulder, and he reaches up, and he's like, Spear, I just want to fucking let you know, I like you. But if you don't get back in that fucking room, I swear to God, I'm going to fucking kill you myself. And I'm like, roger that, Taco. Running and sat down, right? Now, no, dude, you don't understand. You have no idea how intense this was. I mean, these guys thought they were fucking SEALs, right? Yeah, and of course, listen, if I got into it with Taco, I'd break him like a fucking twig. But it's not the point. That's just how he talked. He would talk that way to his mother. And then all of a sudden, I go inside, and Jerry's rack, bottom rack, 3rd position. So the way Nimitzi's set up is you have a rack, and then at the end you have a locker, vertical locker, and then you have a rack, and you have a locker, then you have a dividing wall. Then you have a rack, a locker. Okay, that was the way the berthing was set up. Okay, so Jerry was in position 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 4 of the racks, right? So he's position lower 1 with a locker right here. So Signorella, before he got into bed, pulled it from the wall, right? So it's this way from the wall. And he slid under the bed. Okay? Then Peterson came in and slid under, and they kind of feet to feet, right? So you got a head here at the front of the bed and a head here, 2 guys laying, and 2 blankets. And they throw it over him and hold on both sides.
Yep.
And lock him the fuck in. And then the other 4 guys come in with, and I ain't fucking kidding, you know what these are like, the shower flip-flops in the United States Navy. Pure rubber, galvanized rubber like a hockey puck with giant fucking rivet holes going all the way down. And if you hit somebody with it, you kill them. You fucking kill them. That thing was a brick. And they all come out with these fucking sandals. And all I hear is, what the fuck? And I'm fucking just thud, and you hear, oh my God, and you hear this guy screaming. Sounds like someone's beating the shit out of a watermelon. They must have hit this kid a fucking 150 times. He's screaming to the top of his fucking lungs. And then when it was done, Signorella comes across and grabs out from the rack and he goes, "It was all a bad dream, fat boy." Now, the reason I know this is because when we all went to Captain's Mast, I found out what was said. So he did the Full Metal Jacket. It was just a bad dream, fat boy. And they all went to their racks, right? So I'm sitting there like, there's no way I'm going to get wood anymore, right? Stephanie's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And I'm like, "I got to go." On the phone.
Yeah.
So of course, what do I do? Do I go and get the quartermaster? Do I go get the sentry? Fuck that. I go get in my rack and I walk around the other side of the berthing. So little boy crying in his fucking, he can't see me. I'm like, I don't want this motherfucker to see me. So I go down and I'm all the way at the end by the showers. I'm at the senior position, the best spot, because that's the great one to come in from the back when you're too drunk to come in from the front. So, okay. So the next morning, everyone gets up and we're taking our showers and everyone's getting up and everything's fine. And fucking Seaman Jerry gets out of bed and gets out of his rack. And he's got white boxers on, standard, because he just got out of boot camp. He doesn't have anything else. Everyone else has colored underwear and whatever, but he's got white boxers on. And of course, he has his flip-flops. And he starts walking down the wall of shame to go to the frickin' showers, which are on the left-hand side, heads are on the right. And as he shuffles down, you can hear him wincing. And when you see his body, I swear to God, it looks like he stepped in front of a freaking baseball throwing machine going at 110 miles an hour.
Jeez.
Every part of his body was black and blue.
Oh,
This
poor
guy had broken blood vessels. I mean, it was horrible. And I can't believe I called it a bed. It's a rack. So anyway, so he goes in the shower and all you see is you hear the shower come on. And the nozzles in Nemitzi are not like, it's fire hose, it's like 1960s, 1960s Memphis, Tennessee. So you're just like peeling. This guy's just, right? So we go up to muster and everyone's dressed and we're on the ready line and everyone's ready to go and go do our march over to the building, to the JEC and the training center and the Mitzi training center. And IS-1 comes in and Jerry's not dressed. And IS-1's like, "Where the fuck is my retarded son at? Where is he? Where is he?" And Seaman Spear, get your fucking ass up here. Yes, IS-1, what's going on? And I'm like, God, I can't wait to get to the fleet. These fucking chicken shit NCOs. And he's like, "Where?" I mean, he's in the shower. He's in the head, sir. He's like, "He's in the fucking head." And he makes us call him sir, by the way. Don't even get me started.
Why?
Dude, don't get me started. I know. This guy has officer syndrome, right? He didn't make it to OCS. So now he's got to punish everybody. This guy wears an aide-de-camp fucking red ribbon. Come on. So he goes in the head and he's like, "What in the Jiminy fuck is going on?" Because he sees Jerry looking like he just got out of the movie Abused with Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
And he immediately like, "Every single person right now, 100% get out in the fucking hallway. I want muster. I want every floor cleared." And so, okay. So we all march over there. And this is the first time ever we didn't march as class. Everybody marched together. So you're talking 100 and some odd ISs, some CTs, some OSs, all marched together. And we go into the auditorium. And he puts in the auditorium, he takes Seaman Jerry and sticks him in the auditorium in front of all of us. And he goes, "You got 2 minutes." to tell me who did it and point them out now, or there's going to be fucking hell to pay. And you're all going to pay. I will send all of you to fucking Mast. You will be you will be dishonorably discharged, and I will lose this entire fucking division if you don't tell us who did it. And of course, everybody's like, you know, this is like Ralphie in class, you know, when the guy when this guy puts his tongue on his palate, we're all looking at each other like, I don't know. He's like, whoever did it should feel really ashamed. And he's like, yeah, I agree. This is fucking horrible. And of course, they're looking at me because look at, I'm the bookworm. I stick to myself. I really wasn't the guy who kind of hung out with everybody.
Scent of a woman type scenario here, yeah.
Right, exactly. But they're looking at me because they think I'm a rat because I'm the only guy who really knows who did it.
But not a
and
snitch.
I'm like, listen, motherfucker. I'm like, you don't have to worry about me. But they try. So they were looking at me, and I'm just like, you guys don't know anything about me. Fuck off, you kids. So, okay. So the auditorium clears out. The next day, we hear there's going to be an investigation. They go get the Marine Corps Light Colonel to come in. They get the base commander Navy to come in. They bring 2 people in from JAG. And then they bring an Army general. An Army general comes in and they run Mast. Captain's Mast. It's trial. And it's a mock fucking trial. And it's done in the Intel building past the IS Ops Systems Afloat, past the OS building, but it's on the first turn in. And it's a little smaller room, long hallway, and it's different than all the other rooms at Mitzi. And they start bringing in witnesses. And of course, this happened that nobody knew. IS-1 was approached by Signorella, Peterson, all those guys, and he goes, we did it in private, and we did it for you. For the disrespect they showed to you, we did it for you. And IS-1's like, I got your fucking back. Who else knows about it? And he's like, Spear. Now, I know about this entire conversation because this is all uncovered, and I'm told this. All of a sudden, all 6 of them come to my rack, and I'm sitting there, and I'm shining my shoes, and this was right before we left to go over to the building. And they're coming around, and they get in position, 3 on my left, 3 on my right. And I looked at them, I'm like, did you guys bring your fucking flip-flops? And he goes, what the fuck, Spear? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? And I said, I'll tell you one thing. I'm not a fucking fat little shit who's not going to fight back. And if you think you're going to intimidate me, I ain't going to say shit, you stupid fucks. And you should have told me. You put me in a position that I could go to Mast, and you think I'm going to narc on you, stupid pricks? Right. I'm not knocking you out of loyalty. I'm just not a fucking narc. So it's not going to happen. So leave me alone, or you're going to see that I will. And then obviously you hear Taco go, I told you he's fucking solid, right? As he's walking away, and I'm not supposed to hear it. So then we all go, and we all have to go pony up. So you hear people coming in there, and they're crying, dude, because everybody in that building had to go in there. And this general, you stupid sons of what? Tell me what happened. Do you believe in? Tell me what a code red is. I'm not kidding you, because this was all during Few Good Men time. It's like, do you think code reds happen in the military? Tell me what a code red is. And if you said, well, yeah, I believe they happen in the military because we wouldn't be here if they didn't, you got your ass just destroyed. And if you said, no, I don't believe in code reds, and said, what the fuck do you think we're doing here? You couldn't answer the right question. And they were just trying to destroy people and break them till someone narked. And nobody knew anything except for the 6 and me. So as I walk by, these guys had all been hit before. So they had all been hit by the general. They had all been hit by the light colonel, and they had all had their moment of getting their asses chewed. And I walk down the hallway because I'm called up next, because you hear the guy comes out and Seaman Spear, and I'm all the way down, and I start walking up, and you see Peterson, Taco, Davey, Kopke, all of them sitting there, and they're looking white face, and they're seeing me walk up, and I feel like I'm like in To Kill a Mockingbird, and I'm like the star witness, right? So I'm feeling power, and I wish I would have had a flip flop, because I just would have walked by and thrown it on the floor as I went inside. So I go inside. And I stand at attention, and of course, I do what you're supposed to in the military. I scan everybody's epaulets, and I find out the ranks, and I scan them in one shot, so I know when they address me what to call them. And you do that effectively, because I was honor man in boot camp, and I got honor man in boot camp. And if you sit there and look at their rank, you're not going to win honor man. That was the whole point. You got to walk in, you got to do one glance, learn all the ranks, and then be shit hot with your answers. So I was ready, and I was polished, and I was looking good. And I'm in my dress blues. So I'm looking good. Sure. So I get in there and stand at attention, and the Marine Corps Light Colonel Goes, Seaman Spear, is it true you were number 1 in your class?
Fuck yeah.
Yes, sir. You're honor man in boot camp? Yes, sir. It's like, your father's in the Marine Corps. Is that correct? I said, yes, sir. He's like, you love the Navy? I said, yes, sir. He's like, serve your country honorably? Yes, sir. He's like, you're going to tell me the truth, aren't you? Yes, sir. He's like, you're going to tell me everything because I know you know. Because you're the only one who's not scared. He's like, why don't you tell me what happened? And I said, about what, sir? And he goes, this is your last fucking chance. And he's like, and I will destroy your career. I will destroy your career. I'll make it my life mission to make sure that you are literally swabbing decks for the rest of your fucking life.
Yeah, that's a bluff.
Now, yeah, right. And I'm just sitting here going, yes, sir. And he says to me this. He goes, tell me about a code red. I said, I'm not aware of what a code red is,
Like
sir.
a red light?
And no, I didn't do that because
I haven't gone to any red light districts. I swear to God.
Right. He's like, tell me about what a blanket party is. And I said, sir, I don't think you'll like my definition of what a blanket party is.
Oh my gosh.
And of course, IS-1, listen, I can see IS-1 in the corner and he's doing this. Like, you could see this guy's like, God, I really like this kid. And he's on the border of insolence, and he's gonna pay if this keeps up, if he keeps taking across the line. And then he says, listen, have you seen A Few Good Men? I said, yes, sir, I have. And he goes, code red. And I said, yep, now I remember, sir. Yes, sir. He's like, do you know what it is? And I said, yes, sir. Do you think they happen in the military? I said, yes, sir, I do. And he says, how do you know they happen in the military? Seaman Spear, how do you know this? How do you know? Who told you that this is available? And I said,
You
sir,
asked
because
me if
we're
I thought that they happened.
yeah.
not if I
I
knew.
said,
Those
sir,
are two
we're at
different
Captain's
questions.
Mass. We're at Captain's Mass for exactly that reason, sir. He goes, what do you know about it? Where were you that night? And I said, sir, to be completely transparent with you, I was preparing to rub one out with my girlfriend and have phone sex with her in the cubicle at the phone. And he just stops like in complete fucking disbelief.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know whether to fucking put a medal on this kid or if this guy's got like,
He's getting ready to polish the
why would he
floor.
lie? Why would he lie about that? And I would just told him, I was ready to rub one out with my girl and have phone sex with her on the phone. He's like, what did you hear? And I
Erection at the moment.
yeah, he's like, what did you hear that night? I said, I didn't hear anything, sir. He's like, what did you see? You expect me to believe you didn't see anything.
What did I
said,
hear?
"The only
It sounded like this.
Right, right, right. All I heard was the heavy breathing of your wife on the phone, sir. So,
Oh my God.
I didn't say that. I just said, sir, I didn't hear anything. He's like, you expect me to believe that you have a person screaming and getting beat half to death, and you didn't hear a thing. And say, sir, if someone was getting beaten to half a death, and that happened, I would have heard something, and therefore I didn't hear anything, and I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, questioning and they're screaming at me, and I'm not going to lie. I mean, I was nervous, and I was nervous. So I walk out, and I close the door, and IS-1's still in there, and I'm dismissed. So I do my roundabout and walk out, and then they're all 6 of them are sitting there. And if they could be smoking cigarettes and drinking, they would be, right? They're just so fucking nervous. It looks like they're in a tattoo parlor, right? They're just, ugh. So I walk by, and the smartest quarter hand turn you've ever seen, and the snap of the heels as I went by. I didn't even look at any of them. And I go, you guys are a bunch of fucking pricks. Just walk by. So wait, so this is what happened with Captain's Mass. There was an unfounded Captain's Mass. No charges were brought. The next fucking day, they pull all of us in the auditorium, and they say the following: we don't know who did it. We can't find out who did it because you stupid bastards don't have any honor and code. So here it is. Thanksgiving is fucking canceled. No leave for Thanksgiving. And you see the shoulders go, wait a second. These guys have been in boot camp most of their fucking lives for their entire service. And now they've been in intel training. This is the first leave we've gotten. We haven't been home in a year. And he's like, we're canceled. And he will cancel. They can cancel leave anytime they want. They go, Thanksgiving's canceled. You guys come back in 24 hours with an answer. We want to know who did it. So he leaves. Next day we come in. He goes, fuck it. You lost Thanksgiving. You're about to lose Christmas. And everybody's then starting to shift in their seats. Like, people are going to pop, right? So they leave again. And we all start talking. And at that point, myself and everybody, I walk up, I go, okay, fuck enough. I am not seeing my girlfriend before I go to Fleet. I am not going to Japan without seeing her. This is fucking stupid. One of you need to take the bullet. You're going to get 90-90. You're going to get down to rank, and this is going to be over. Don't be enough of this shit. Somebody needs to fess up. So Taco goes, just go fucking sit down. All of you go fucking sit down. Get away from me. Fuck this. We're done. We're done. And this is why I love Taco. So IS-1 comes back in. He goes, all right, you stupid pricks. Did you decide that Christmas is important? Are you going to see Santa Claus this year? And of course, he's just being a douchebag. And he goes, who did it? And Taco stands up. And he goes, I did, IS-1, I did it. He's like, you think I'm going to believe that bullshit that a scrawny little pipsqueak like you didn't have any accomplices, that you held a guy down and you beat the shit out of him by yourself? And he's like, that's what happened. IS-1's like, is that your story? Are you sticking to it? He's like, yep, I did it. So
do you want do you want a guilty party or not?
Right, that's exactly it. And that's exactly what they did. They're like, we got a guilty party. So he got like 90-90. He got rolled back. He had to go through Intel training again. He still went to Buds. He got docked. He got broken down to E1. And he had to do mess cook for 3 weeks while he was waiting for the new class to start, which sucks, right? I mean, that was the worst punishment. I'd be like, fuck, is anal rape on the menu? Why the hell do I have to go do?
What's 90-90? Somebody wants to know.
90 days, no pay, 90 restricted to quarters.
Pay.
Got it.
So he had to stay in the birthing unit for 90 days and no pay for 90 days. And you know what? He took his lumps, man. He never rolled. He never ratted.
I didn't have anything that.
I'm sorry. That was a long story. I apologize, but it's a good one.
No, I'll keep mine under 2 minutes. I didn't have.
Oh, I'm sorry. Don't be mean. Don't be mean.
We were in Charleston. Our ship was being rehabbed, which is where they tear all the bunks out and basically. The ship goes
strip down the walls, take off the lights,
everything down. So there's no racks in the ship, which means that if you were living on the ship, if you were, one of the lower ranking type people, anyone like E5 and below type people, then you didn't have any place to stay. So what the Navy does for those,
did you have to use the needle gun to chip the paint off the walls? That fucking horrible thing.
I was in EW. I didn't touch that shit. So, but what happened was, they bring in a barge, and it's literally just a berthing barge. It's a barge with like 4 rows of 4 decks full of racks, basically.
Yep.
And so we're staying on this thing, but that means, because it's still Navy, that they still man a quarterdeck watch. And so the operations officer in a boat, okay, and yes, I call it a boat, not a ship. So this guy. He had dark hair. I can't remember his name, but he was a lieutenant. He was bucking for lieutenant commander. And he was on quarterdeck watch on the ship. And I was over on the barge, but I wasn't on watch. I was actually getting ready to go out. And I just so happened to be with one of my friends. And I remember him very well. It was E4. His name was Murdoch. Great dude. And we were just talking. And neither one of us even realized that there's a ship. I'm sorry, there's a phone on the quarterdeck of the ship, and there's a phone that's on the quarterdeck of the barge. And whoever was on the barge must have made a phone call, and they didn't hang it up. So the ship is trying to call the barge, and Murdoch's on watch. He should have caught it. I'm not on watch. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
And so I'm just bullshitting with my friend. Next thing you know, the operations officer comes by. Right. And he's like, what the is going on? Why aren't you guys answering the phone? I can't get through, blah, 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 blah. I go, I don't know. And I don't really care. And so I always had a problem with this guy. He was always just a flaming douche nugget.
Everyone has that one.
So,
everyone has that one.
And so he looks at me, he goes, were you on that phone? I go, no, I wasn't on the phone. Because the phone's still off the hook at this point.
Right.
And he's looking at the phone and he's looking at me and I'm in street clothes. And he's like, you were on that phone. I go, no, I wasn't. And so he pulls Murdoch to the side and tells me to stand off from the corner. And I can see him and he's in the corner and he's yelling at the guy, at this kid who's on watch, and this kid's like, yes, sir. Yeah. Yep. I got you. Yep. Next thing you know, he comes back to me and he's like, Grable, that was it. Your buddy turned you in. And I looked at this dude square in the eye, and I go, "No, he didn't. He didn't. I know he didn't because I wasn't on the phone."
Stupid, fucking grandparent.
And so this guy, his face got beat red, gets pissed off, goes back to goes back to the ship, and it was very, very accusatory. Somebody must have made a stink about it, something that I was unaware of. It must have been either Murdoch or somebody else who was privy to the situation. I was walking around on the ship the next day, and the same guy comes up to me, and he goes, Grable, I want to talk to you. What do you want, man? And so I didn't say it that way. I was like, yes, sir.
No, I get you. Silent insolence. I get it.
Yeah. And he goes, he goes, I think I took it a little too far with you yesterday, and I'm sorry. You have no idea the raging hard-on one would get
of course, dude.
When a lieutenant comes up to you and is kissing your ass. It was nice.
You had to loosen your freaking clasp on your belt buckle, I'm sure, to make some room in your dungarees.
Huge hard-on. Anyway.
One of the time we stayed at the Navy Exchange Hotel in Yokosuka, and this is 30 seconds. And I'm in the hotel, and I don't know who was on top of me, but whatever. So I woke up.
I just love hearing about your stories of you banging other women.
It was a guy. It was a guy. So don't worry about it. It wasn't.
Makes me awesome.
Okay. Anyway, so this chick, she whatever. I don't know. So I got up and I start scrounging, and I'm looking for. I'm wearing my dungarees. So I've got my boondock. I got my boondock boots on. I've got my my dungarees pants, and I've got my blue short sleeve, and it's all. I put that. Remember that Stay Flow. Starch. Yeah, I put Stay. Like you soak it in Stay Flow and then you iron it. It gets a beautiful white color. I got a can
upstairs.
Yeah, Stay Flow is the greatest shit in the world. So I can put razor blades on my fucking sleeves, dude. You could cut somebody's freaking neck with those things. Anyway, so I'm walking, and it's a mile at least, because this is an LCC. I mean, second biggest to an aircraft carrier, right? So and the Enterprise is right there. So it's like you got DDG. It's not a destroyer. You got a cruiser. You got frigates. Then you got a couple of subs, Japanese subs sitting there, and then you got like the USS Enterprise all the way down, and then you got the to the right, and then you got the LCC. So you got to walk forever, and of course on the quarterdeck is the resident hard-on frickin' I polish my buckle when we're out deployed, and they're checking everybody, watching everybody, and this guy's got a pair of fucking binoculars, right? And he does this, and he just looks at everybody walking up and checks out their uniform just to throw them a freaking shit infraction, right? Jesus. So I'm in the dude. This is the chicken shit Navy that I grew up with. I don't know what to tell you. So I'm at the Navy Exchange. Well, we did. That's overseas service, dude. I know you went overseas, but that was Japan. So anyway, I'm in the hotel and I'm looking, and I can't find my belt, and it's a black belt, web belt with a silver buckle, and it can't be nickel. Or it's nickel. It's got to be brushed. It can't be shiny chrome for your whites or your dress blues.
You want one? I think I still have one upstairs.
Well, I've got shit. It doesn't matter. But you know what I'm talking about. It's got to be brushed nickel, man. And I can't find my fucking belt. And those dungarees are not necessarily the most form-fitting thing on your hips, man, especially when you are in the military. So I'm like, I'm going to have to walk, and I'm going to somehow have to hold up my pants and salute every officer we walk by and make it across the quarterdeck. And
pray they don't notice that you don't have a belt.
Of course he did. So here's the guy looking at the quarterdeck. He was an OS. He was a chicken shit. And he's like this, and then he stops on me, and I see him go. He's right on my belt. And this guy gave me 3 days restrictive duty, or 3 days dedicated to the boat. And I got a chit. It's the only trouble I ever got in the military. And this guy gave me a fucking chit 3 days. He took my weekend from me, and he asked me, he's like, "Where's your belt?" And I said, "I'm just people like that, dude." That's the people you want to do a blanket party.
I got busted for Fleet Week up in New York for getting hammered. And I remember I was in this club just dancing. And this is how you know you're a professional drinking sailor at this point. I was just dancing with this girl. There was 3 girls deep, and I had asked the bartender to make me whatever the hell he wanted. And so I had already downed that, and it was like this big. So I am just green at this point, but I'm still dancing. Next thing you know, man, without missing a beat, I just upchuck on the dance floor and keep dancing. Right? Finally, somebody pulls me out of there. Time to go home. All right. Yep, I'm with you. Throw me in the van, go home, and end up getting sick in the van too. And the van was full of chiefs, and so they were like, "Yep, he's not going out anymore."
I can't.
Anyway.
Yeah, dude.
you.
I love you too. Good night, buddy. Yeah, the stories are great. All right, so listen, let's get to this quickly. We're going to blow through it, and then we're going to jump off because it's late, and I knew we were going to get into this. By the way, people are arguing between a ship and a boat. Fleet sailors don't really give a fuck. We don't care. So I'm just letting you know. It's a ship, it's a boat, it's a vessel. We don't care. Nobody makes the distinction. That's chicken shit, Navy stuff. We don't care. So, sorry.
Very true.
Every Master Chief I ever met says, I don't give a shit what you call it. If it floats, it's a boat.
Just be where the fuck you're at when you're supposed to be there, and we won't have any problems.
Just get on the quarterdeck, be there for muster. Do not leave the 12-hour watch waiting to be relieved.
Yeah.
Because all they want to do is go get some chow and hit the rack. And they're jittered from coffee, and they've been taking no-dos half the night, and they don't need your ass to be late. So that was it. All right.
I don't have any military stories, but I can tell you some cheerleading stories.
Tell us the time that you slept with a football team.
Was it a band camp?
Did you have a flute?
I did not go to band camp. I was in choir.
What
No,
happened?
I didn't sleep with the football team. All my boyfriends were from different schools, and it was basketball.
Oh, you slept with basketball? Were they white? Well, you're in Montana. Of course they were white.
No, I didn't sleep with any basketball players, and I didn't sleep with anyone while I was in high school. I was a good
You're afraid of the size of their balls?
They had orange balls.
I was a good girl until I met Matt.
Please, your corruption didn't start with me. We've already went over
That's true.
that. I only really want to show one video, and I'm hesitant to show this because we're not going to have time. And this is the Friday night. It was crazy. We had to play, so it was nice just to kind of do some sea stories and enjoy that. But I do want to show this one because this was on Fox last night, and this guy is a whistleblower, and he's saying that he has enough information to have a grand jury put Joe Biden away. I'm a little hesitant when people say that, right? I mean, first of all, the amount of information that you would have to have them remove a president still requires impeachment. The president can go out and shoot somebody tomorrow, and you can't arrest him. It's just the way it is. Simple fact.
Not until they're done with their term.
Not until they're done with their term, unless they're impeached. So you got to impeach them. And then with articles of impeachment, you can go ahead and have them removed with a base to have a trial. And then you would have that go through the House. And then the Senate would vote on it. And they could remove the president. It hasn't been done in U.S. history. But it probably would have happened to Richard Nixon, to be honest with you. But this guy says he's got enough information. So that makes me a little wary. Plus, he looks like he's a day drinker. Because he hasn't put any... He's a little
flushed there.
You look at him, dude.
Those rosy cheeks are kind of a giveaway.
Yeah, but I want to listen to it because...
Or he just had sex. Either way. You could have
either way.
Just sex flush.
I don't think it was sex. I'm pretty sure. It's about 2 minutes. I want to get your opinion, and I want to listen to it. And I want to get you guys... Because Fox shouldn't put people like this on unless this is true. I know they want Joe Biden bad. Just as bad as the left want Trump. But I would like to keep some sort of credibility when it comes to this type of stuff because this is important to me. Give this a listen.
White House stenographer, and Mike joins us now. So, Mike, what went down on that trip that you're aware of?
Thanks for having me on, Jesse. Well, what happened on that trip was Joe Biden was in the front of the plane. My job as a White House stenographer was to be in the back of the plane in the press cabin, and if Joe or a senior administration official came back and did a briefing, and then I would record it and make a transcript. Well, that's exactly what happened. That senior administration official was Jake Sullivan, who's now our national security advisor. So I didn't see anything wrong with it at the time. Years go by. I've left the White House. I'm writing books, and I get a hold of the Hunter Biden laptop from Marco Polo. They're a nonprofit, anti-corruption nonprofit. About a year and a half ago, I started writing a Substack based on what I find. And then I go back over what I knew happened when I was working for Joe. I found the...
Can you pause that?
Roadmap
how
and
the
a
hell
fucking
did
compass.
How did he get a hold of Hunter Biden's laptop? You just can't say, I got a hold of it. Well, wait a minute. How? That's kind of a big deal, right? I mean, that's a detail that's kind of relevant.
there are people who have the contents of the laptop, and it's not like they don't. But I'm a little confused about what this story, what it has anything to do with. I'm a stenographer. I'm in the back of the plane. President's in the front of the plane, and I'm a little confused at what he's saying. Let's see if this gets.
Seems to be a little buddy with the president, calling him Joe.
Yeah, let's see if this gets a little better.
Transcript that I wrote about that briefing.
Even Jesse, look at Jesse. Jesse's like, fucking my producers. Seriously?
That's when Jake Sullivan starts talking about fracking. And because of what I'd read in the laptop and reported in my Substack previously, I'm like, wait a minute. Joe Biden knew Hunter Biden was already on the board on April 18th. Joe Biden knew. He directed Sullivan to go back and talk to the press. This is a conspiracy. This is a crime. This is public corruption. That's what the FBI is supposed to investigate. So I wrote a Substack about it in November. Nothing happened. I went to the FBI and filled out their witness tip line. There's a website. You fill out all these tips, these web directions.
Sure.
I submitted it. If you lie to the FBI when you're submitting a tip like that, you can go to jail. I'm not lying. I'm telling the truth. Joe Biden is lying. Joe Biden is a criminal. That's the bottom line. I don't care if he goes to Timbuktu or Ireland or anywhere. He's a criminal. And I've got the evidence. If they put me in front of the grand jury that's right now seated in Wilmington with Special Prosecutor David Weiss, my testimony becomes the evidence that will put him in jail or will lead to his impeachment. Probably lead to his impeachment first.
So you're saying that Joe Biden wasn't going to Ukraine? White House stenographer.
Hold on, time out. Everybody hold on. One at a time. Hold on.
Probably lead to his impeachment first.
So you're saying that Joe Biden wasn't going to Ukraine?
All right.
Okay.
Let Olivia go first. Ladies go first, and she had to put up with our C stories. Go ahead, Liv.
I was just going to say, I wonder if Schumer passed him the blank white pages, so he's got the evidence, because that's sure what it sounded like.
Go ahead, Leroy.
Nobody would ever be convicted based off of the testimony with no evidence behind it. Testimony with no evidence is speculation. And that's not enough to convict anyone. So I am dubious of his claim.
How the fuck do you get on Fox News and you be a dipshit like that? And I have never been invited to Fox News. I was listening to the intelligence analysis of some of these fucking yokels, and I'm like, how did these people get on Fox News? These people, they may have like done TDY or something, but these people are not intelligence people. Like they had one guy who was state legislature, and you could tell he was shit hot. He was FBI. You just knew. I knew. Like I was looking at Living, like he's FBI. And then he's like, when I worked in the FBI, I'm like, there you go. See, that guy's an FBI guy. He's a fib. But most of these people on Fox, where do they find these guys? And I just don't understand. That right there does not help. That right there makes us look bad.
No, it works against the credibility of Fox.
Yeah.
When you put something like that up there that is completely like, even if the guy is telling the truth, okay, that might be his truth, but if there's no evidence behind it, or if it's another conspiracy, right, then all it does is hurt Fox's reputation. That's something that CNN could then go back and say, look at the crazy person they put up.
They got 4 billion reasons right now why they should be walking a fine line. I mean, I will be surprised if Fox News has a station by this time next year. They are going to get their asses sued by Dominion. And I told everybody this Dominion bullshit. It was going to sink and torpedo this network. And I told people this was a fucking complete waste of time. And of course people are like, no, Matt, I saw videos. No, shh. Fox is probably going to get torpedoed because of this. But I didn't listen to what Jesse said. And I would hope that Jesse would qualify and stand up to this, but I don't know if he did or not. Maybe someone can tell me. I want to show one more video and then we're done, and we're going to pop smoke. This guy is somebody who is on Twitter quite a bit, and I'm going to give you his first name because I just can't stand this kid. First of all, the way he looks just makes my teeth itch. He makes my teeth itch, and like I would just, if I was in high school with this kid, I would stuff him in a locker or a trash can. and he just looks like a little Third Reich. Honestly, he looks like just an elitist. It's what they used to look like, what liberals used to look like. They just had this elitist, worthless look about him, and this kid is obnoxious. He only has
that you just gave me is just hilarious, and I just had this image of like 20 or 30 Nazis, but they're also dwarves.
Right. There he is. Look at his picture. He's on the screen. Was that what you were thinking he looked like?
No, that's way worse.
Okay. Well, this guy looks like a little Oxford freaking uppity, lawyer / kid. This kid has one gear, and it's fucking temper tantrum. And all he does is scream. And he's like, Gen Z. Gen Z is going to take all these Republicans down. Just listen to this kid real quick, and just listen to this whiny little bitch who got PTS from shooting a weapon.
So I shot a gun for the first time today, and I've always been told by Republicans that after the first time, I'll be in favor of guns and I'll want more guns. But for me, it was the exact opposite. I realized how powerful these guns are, and at a moment's notice, they can be used to take someone's life. And the fact that in many states in this country, you can walk into one of these stores and 10 minutes later walk out with an AR-15 is absurd. This experience made me want more gun control, not less.
Aww.
Oh, poor baby.
He probably pooped himself.
This guy's got he's got like 600,000 followers on TikTok.
I don't know, but I think I have his balls right here.
Dude, this guy, okay, he's all over the place. This is the movement. First of all, Gen Z is not intimidating. They're not. And they think that they're going to change the world. And the naivety, it's almost like we see them protesting and we see them, arguing on the internet. And the people who've been doing this a while are just like, oh, that's cute. That's so cute. But they're so naive because they have no idea. And they've been told they can do anything they want, that they told that they can change the world. They've been lied to. And this kid is going to do nothing. He's just like David Hogg. He's a petulant little shit. Yeah. And he's so entrenched, he hates everything about Republicans. But here's the problem. If we did ban guns, I think this kid would dissipate and disappear. He would just poof, spontaneous combust, because this is all he talks about. And anyone who supposedly hates guns so much, why would you make it your life mission to talk about it every day?
Attention.
Yeah.
Reminds me of a few years ago when we lived in Texas, and I took Ethan to HEB. If you go grocery shopping, I got him a little pop gun or something like that. I remember
this.
The toy.
Right.
And because he did really good that week or something, did his chores. So checking out, and it's like the 17-year-old kid who is bagging the groceries, and he sees the gun, and he makes a comment of, oh, I don't like guns. And I'm like, oh, really? And he goes, yeah, we just moved from New York. And I said, well, you moved to the wrong state now, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like,
it's
really?
Olivia.
Really?
That's my wife. No problem. Anyway, it's just, go ahead, Leroy.
It's funny that people can be so impassioned about something like this without ever really being students of history and realizing, that the people, George Takei is a really great example. It was about 6-9 months, maybe a year ago, where he had that tweet that basically says we should collect all of the AR-15s and send them to the people of Ukraine. And then the response in Twitter was, well, thanks for acknowledging that that's the reason we have the Second Amendment.
Exactly.
And so when I look at that kid, I get that he's impassioned. I get that he probably is all butthurt about, he's probably scarred for life and will need some couch time to deal with his time at the shooting range.
His PTS.
But the fact of the matter is, it does sound like he's trying to basically live off of the coattails of like a David Hogg. He's trying to be a blonde David Hogg and gain some notoriety there, maybe some spotlight of his own.
This kid has so much hate in his heart. I'm making a prediction. By 25 years old, he's going to be 240 pounds and balding. I'm just telling you right now.
Wait, I'm balding.
I say something. So I don't understand these people. If they have an issue with guns, just don't touch them. I had a big issue with guns in 8th grade, and I grew up in a very small town. So there was like 90 people in my class, and we all knew each other. And two of my good friends were playing with a gun, and one of them got shot in the face, and it was a closed casket. This is my first time I had dealt with death of somebody close to me. I went to the funeral. It was at my church that I went to, so it was reminded every time I went to church on Sunday, and I was traumatized by it. And I grew up around guns, and I started shooting when I was 6. And I refused to touch a gun after that point. I was terrified of them, but I didn't go around and preach and say guns are bad. And I didn't criticize anyone that touched guns. My dad and my brother still went hunting every year, and I didn't, why do you have guns? I didn't want to touch them. It was my own personal choice. And then I got over my fear and everything's good now. But
why did you get over your fear?
Because my friends took me out back and said, you need to shoot the 22 again. It made me shoot it. And then after that, I was like, okay.
What?
Matt is clearly trying to link this to himself. Look at the smirk in his face.
What a complete asshole. You are so full of shit.
No, seriously. I shot the 22 and I was like, okay, with rifles. The handgun, it took me a little bit longer.
Whatever. That's fine. You can go, you know, I never get any credit. It's fine.
You get credit for everything.
Whatever. At least you touch my gun.
Well,
so
I mean, at least I don't talk about my exes and them being on top of me like
she wasn't my ex. It's just somebody I diddled.
Exactly.
She was a receptacle that night. She might have
That's
been,
even worse.
She might have been a Japanese prostitute. I don't remember.
I'd rather there was some emotional
I'm pretty
there.
sure I got her off base and brought her back to the next. I'm just telling you. I wasn't. I told you I wasn't a very good man back then. If I would have known you, you could have done that. All right. So last thing,
just to get back on topic, just real quick, something I wanted to add was that you know, being a good student of history, I was on one of the lefty pages the other day, and there was a heated Second Amendment debate, and this guy kept going on and on about, you know, well, we shouldn't have guns and blah 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 blah, and he's like, and then he starts giving me all of these examples, but they were like historically they worked against him. And he used Germany as like this, as this arbiter of
society.
Yeah, and I'm like, you mean this Germany? And then I showed it was the graphic of people being herded onto cattle cars.
Why don't you look?
Never heard back from him again.
There's your graphic right there for you. I got it for you.
I made that one.
I say, dude, I'm getting so good at this show. I save certain things because I know you're going to talk about them, and this is a pretty good one.
Dude, I tell you what. If you look at those numbers, right, when you're talking 50 million people that have been exterminated by their own governments because they didn't have any means to defend themselves, and then you go on and on and on about, oh, I shot a gun at a range and it terrified me, so I don't think anybody should have them, you're an idiot.
There's two things about this. Two things about this story. One is that I'm not in the doghouse with Olivia.
Oh no, we're just bantering. It's foreplay.
It's foreplay, right? Because she's just jealous because she wasn't on top of me, so she's going to go ahead and punish me until she can be, and then everything's going to be fine.
Well, I'd like you to be
spank
on
me,
top,
daddy.
So the second thing is this is the sad reality. I'm not going to be like the left, because you know what the left does? They go, well, I hope your kids die in a school shooting so you can learn what a horrible human fucking being you are because you want guns. This is what they say. I have endless screenshots of them saying things like this. Well, you know, one of these days you're just going to get shot and killed, and then you're going to, you know, blah, blah, blah. Or your kids are going to be murdered, or your wife's going to get raped, shot, because she's going to have a gun and the guy's going to take it away. I've heard this, so I'm not going to do that to them. But what I'm going to say is, God forbid, if you are ever in a situation that there is an active shooter, I promise you, you're not going to want your pride. You're not going to want your fucking talking points. You're not going to want your I hate the NRA sticker. You're not going to want God. You're not going to want your mommy. Yeah. The only
you're not
thing
going to question whether or not the guy got a hold of it legally either.
Yeah, you're not going to give a fuck. You're not going to care if he had a background check. You're not going to care whether he has an AR-15 or he has a fucking shotgun or he has a handgun.
You're just going to want the guy who's the carry.
You want the gun.
Carry.
You want the gun. You're going to want a gun. It's the only thing you're going to want. And you can never see yourself. And if you ask these ass clowns that question, they won't answer it. You know what they'll say? You know what I want? I want no guns, so that never has to happen. Okay, well, listen, Mary fucking Poppins. You also believe a woman is a man and a man is a woman. That is a pipe dream. Even if we get all of the legal guns in the United States, you're not going to get the illegal ones. And then all you're doing is disarming and limiting the protection you have for yourself. Or you're going to have to wait for 15 minutes to 4 hours for the police to show up. I'm sorry, but all you're going to want is a gun. And if you can't make them see that, then these people don't deserve the right to defend themselves. And I hate to say it, those people are going to be my distraction so that guy can reload, so I can tap him a few times. And that's the unfortunate thing, because the world needs sheep too. And unfortunately, if a wolf is in the fucking cage and the wolf is inside the barn, let them go ahead and get the sheep who don't know any better, so I can go ahead and wait for that fucker to reload. Because this is ridiculous. These people are completely insane. This has nothing to do with legal purchases of guns. There has never been a member of the NRA to do a mass shooting. There's never been a concealed carry holder who has perpetuated a mass shooting. This just is such an infinitesimal percentage. And yes, it's horrible. Yes, it sucks. But them saying there's 5,000 mass shootings over the last 15 years is a fucking lie. The mass shootings they're talking about, 95% of those fucking things are done on the weekend in inner cities, and they're gang shootings of 3 or more people shooting up parties, shooting up gang neighborhoods. That's what takes up most of the gun violence in America, is suicide and homicides. And most of these homicides are done with knives or handguns, not AR-15s. The AR-15 is not a preferred weapon. You hear people all the time, oh, the AR-15 is great for home defense. No, it's fucking not. It is not great for home defense. Anything that moves at 2,700 miles to 3,200 miles an hour is not great for home defense, considering that's going to go through 4 layers of drywall. Okay, it's too long. Now, if you have an AR-15 handgun, qualified handgun, which they do qualify certain AR-15s and handguns, depending, you can use them as a pistol. That's a little different. The best thing for home defense is one of two things. If you're a big guy and you can navigate corners, shotgun's pretty fucking good with a backload of a slug. But if not, a handgun is fantastic, and it's usually superior to just about anything else. And if you ask any cop, if they have distance between them and a shooter, they don't want a pistol, they want an AR-15. But if they're in close quarter combat, and a pistol is just as effective to take out an AR-15 shooter as any other weapon.
You know what no one is ever talking about is the school shooting in Florida that David Hogg was at. So he got all popular because he was there and he talked about, and he wants gun control. But no one's talking about the girl named Meadow who was murdered there, and her dad and brothers are for guns. They're not rallying for gun control. They want more guns.
Yeah.
And you don't hear about him. And you don't hear about that family, and you don't hear about that girl.
Never.
Because it's against the narrative. You hear about freaking Hogg.
Yep.
And that kind of pisses me off.
Well, the funny thing is, a lot of people think Hogg wasn't there that day, and that's a lie. Hogg was there. He was in a closet. His sister and him were texting back and forth. And I give him all the credit in the world for suffering and going through something that was completely horrible. And I give him all the credit in the world to have his opinion. He doesn't need to be a cocksucker about it. And he is. He is a little douchebag, and he's just a petulant little child that couldn't argue his way out of a wet tampon wrapper. And I can't stand the little shit. But he has a right to say whatever he wants. But the problem with these guys is that they can't give qualified examples and just answer the simple question.
Well,
how was the Parkland shooter stopped, Leroy?
Parkland, that was a CCW owner, wasn't it?
No, I don't think Parkland was.
If I'm not mistaken, he was able to get off the campus, and then the police arrested him like a half a mile from the campus. It was like some fat, chubby kid with a white T-shirt on, and he was able to get off campus, and somebody was able to identify who he was, and he was captured. He wasn't killed, and he was captured and arrested like a half a mile from the school or something. That's what I remember from it.
Yeah, he acted casual after fleeing. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing, though. In every single mass shooting, in every single one of these events, a gun stops the person. Either they turn the gun on themselves, number one. Either the gun jams or misfires or is malfunctional, or they get shot and killed by cops. It's always, or a concealed carry holder gets them. It's always a gun that solves the problem. I just don't understand why we're so afraid, that they don't understand that you can't control intent. You can't control somebody who wants to do harm. That's the problem. and they believe that a background check is going to look into somebody's soul. It's not. It's not going to stop anything. So it is what it is. All right, folks, listen, we're gonna pound sand. I will have a short video tomorrow. It's been a long week. I have done a shit ton on the site. Olivia and I need a break. We need to enjoy a good weekend. Leroy, I love having you on here. I'll give you 1 minute, buddy, to give us a recap or what you want to talk about.
Oh, well, hell, we had some great sea stories. That was awesome.
Yeah,
I don't know what that kid in the white shirt with the goofy look on his face. I don't know what his name was.
Harry Hisson, I think. Hold on.
Harry Hisson.
No, it's Hisson.
This is George Peterson.
This is George Peterson, you cocksucker.
I was thinking sweaty balls.
Call me sir, god damn it. Let me find it. I want to say it's Hisson.
What the hell is the matter with you?
What in the hell? What the hell's his name? Someone help me out. It's Harry something. I'm not following him because I can't stand the little prick.
It doesn't really matter.
Oh, Harry this is it. Harry Sisson. Go figure.
I'm sure he does.
Dude,
oh my gosh.
Does that just scream?
That's
like, look at this
perfect.
shit. Here.
The fact of the matter is that if you're a responsible gun owner, right? If you're considered one of the people who have gone to the classes and earned your CCW and you respect the thing, right? Then the fact of the matter is you're going to be one of those people who is ultimately responsible. You know the power of these things and what they're capable of. And that's a very different story from
2023. Every single election.
Sorry, go ahead. I apologize.
Good. And so that's a very different person than somebody out there who has evil in their heart and will do anything to get a hold of one legally or not. And that's the big part of that, is because it's most of those are going to be illegal. And so when you're talking about that and you understand that the only way to stop an evil person with a gun, right? You can pray for 911 to get there in time, but that's that's 6 minutes of waiting there praying that none of those bullets are going to get you, right? And so that's the problem.
It's stupid.
Sad.
It's stupid.
Sad. And I'm not here to tell somebody else how they can defend themselves. The fact of the matter is everyone has the right to self-defense, and I'm not trying to impose my will on somebody else to say you don't have the right to that gun. That AR-15 is too much for you. No, that's a dick thing to say. I don't have that right to tell you how to defend yourself, and nobody really should be making that argument.
Here's just one last video to really annoy you. This guy's just gaslighting, right? He's trying to get, and I'm pointing it out not because I'm gaslighting this
look
kid,
at that
because
hair though.
I have ripped this kid apart. Like I've just been like, you can just go read my comments on Twitter. This guy, I've just been destroying him. But just watch. This is what I'm talking about. He puts this out constantly and people just eat it up. Just listen to the naivety. It looks like a River Phoenix that didn't OD. And on the right side, he looks like a porcelain Russian kabuki doll. And that's what he looks like. Here. Let me get it off mute. I know. Come on. Okay.
Say that Gen Z is weak, ineffective, and...
Okay, just listen to the complete delusion of this little prick.
Republicans love to say that Gen Z is weak, ineffective, and lazy. And if that's the case, why do we keep beating you? We beat you in 2020, we beat you in 2022, and we beat you in 2023.
Every single election, it's record-shattering turnout for young people, whether that's 2020 or the midterms in 2022.
And the bad news for the Republicans is that's not stopping anytime soon. So you guys better be ready for the 2024 presidential election.
Let's go.
Republicans love to say that Gen Z is...
Wow.
I swear to God, I just...
You know how they're spreading all of that good news through their Grindr accounts.
Dude, I want my son to like literally beat the shit out of people like that in high school. Like just find them and beat them, right? We need to bring back bullies, and you need to put kids like that in the locker and like put their freaking clothes in the shower, and you need to like just punish them. There's nobody like, if any human being talked to you like that, I mean, would you just not want to spank them? I mean, You just want to put them in timeout and like ground them. Listen, you little fucker.
That's the kind of kid
Go to
who gets
timeout.
done. They get done with the finger in their face and they're yelling and they're all angry and then they go.
Right. It's
You
just like
need a timeout.
it's just like, dude, what are you talking about, you little? I just
Go get a rocket pop and relax.
right.
Chill
Anyway,
out.
all right. Liv, and you got anything, and then we're taking off.
Nope. I never do.
Nope.
It's always nice.
Nope.
You know, you've got
Silence.
2 hours to come up with something. We're going to go celebrate the Colorado Avalanche winning. I'm sure the Astros lost to the Rangers.
Yeah, they did.
Of course they did. Yeah, we need our heavy guns back, Altuve and Michael Brantley.
Altuve is going to be out for a while.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll come on a little bit. It's good to have everybody on the show. Thanks for tonight. We love you. We appreciate you. Stop by and take a look at the Don't Unfriend Me Show store. You can find that at thedumbshow.com. And you can stop by, get yourself some cool hats, some shirts. You get the Awake But Not Woke hat, which is actually doing pretty well. Stop on by, say hello. Go listen to some podcasts. Catch up on Leroy over there. He's got some great shows that are on record over there from live. You can also check out the blog. And 10% goes back to the Travis Banyan Foundation. And veterans, you get 10% off if you use code DUMB10. Some great stuff over there. Go stop by. Leroy, I love having you here. It's good having you. Thanks for swapping some sea stories for me. And we'll do it again some other time.
Night, y'all.
You guys
Good
have
night,
a great
everybody.
night. Love you, dummies.
Peace in the Middle East. Watch this message.
I'm David Boreanaz with the Cast of SEAL team, and we have an important message for returning vets.
We want you to know if you're struggling to cope, there's help and it's just a phone call away.
The Veterans Crisis Line is staffed with experienced professionals who know your struggles.
There's no greater sacrifice in service to our country. We're able to enjoy our freedoms because of it.
Your service is important, you are important.
For vets and their families, the Veterans Crisis Line is here to help 24 hours a day. Please call